Hey guys, Raven Swift here, and today on Raven Reviews I have a very special episode for you. This is actually a video of me and Sir Diego fighting. So the point of doing this review today is that I want to talk on some things that normally aren't talked about during like film review or just kind of culturally, and things that are just I want to call them instead of toxic whatever, it's gonna be positive whatever. So so in the video, I've fought with Diego now for close to 7 or 8 years, I think. And we usually have some really good fights when we get the opportunity to fight against each other. I'm extremely respectful, and this guy has all my respect and admiration. And in this video, Diego has a knee injury that he recently recovered from. I think maybe like 2 weeks before this, and I didn't want him to mess up his knee or anything like that. So in the fight, neither of us are like trying to go 100%. And we're really just trying to have some really good quality fights while also respecting each other's conditions. This is also post-COVID, so a lot of people in the background fighting are getting back into it. Even myself here, I hadn't. I think maybe it's. I think I maybe fought like 6 times over COVID, so I'm still shaking off the rust. So we're just trying to have some really fun quality fights here. And then in the as since neither of us are going like 100% and not trying to get Diego injured again, we're also working on secondary and tertiary goals other than just winning. When you're fighting somebody, you don't always have to focus on winning at 100% of the like. That doesn't have to be your ultimate goal. Like, of course you want to win the fight, but it's not like you don't always have to go 100% with somebody and try to throw them to the ground the whole time. You can always set up secondary and tertiary goals to make the practice and the session more constructive. And especially this is mostly prevalent with when you're a higher skill fighter fighting lower skilled people. You don't always want to throw those people in the dirt, and it's not always valuable to you either. A lot of those times when you set up those other goals, you can actually develop more as a fighter by setting up those other goals. And I think that's really important to notice, even at the higher level, that we don't have to try to throw each other into the ground and go 100% try to injure each other, potentially. But we can also work on these things to become better fighters. And I think that's just something I want to talk about as a preface for this video. That's why you don't judge either of us harshly, like, "Oh, why you guys aren't trying harder? What do you do? That's stupid." Before anyone had said that, I wanted to preface it. So let's go ahead and start the video. This actually starts out with me falling on the ground due to some weirdly placed mechanics and how we react to each other. But yeah, and I'll go over what my goals were kind of as we start the video. All right, let's go ahead and start it. So Diego's going through this weird wrap that I'm gonna try to block, and as I throw a high cross, and I just kind of fell on the ground. It cracks me up because I didn't expect it to happen. So about halfway through the first half of this video, that's kind of warming up together, and the second half is going to be really getting more quality reps in. In this case, Diego actually has a really strong press game, and he tends to stick to lots of chops and staying online with me. So as a part of my redevelopment and getting back into foam fighting post-COVID, is actually me working on navigating these really tight exchanges with him and working on my riposte and blocks. And then I'm also working on kind of playing with him, trying to work on when it's most beneficial for me to step offline or try to, I call it disengaging from the center line to try to throw one of these high crosses or a hip wrap or something. I think I got there. I got there before him. One of the things about fighting lefties is that if whoever gets to the location first, whenever the person goes to answer back, they will just hit them in the arm. So if I high cross you before you high cross me, you're gonna hit me in the arm. And if I hip wrap you before you hip wrap me, you're gonna hit me in the arm. That's why it's important to think that when someone throws out that you stay inside. Oh man, he destroyed me there. It's so funny. Also, I'm using a punch shield here. I don't normally use a punch shield. I would normally use a medium strap shield. But the punch shield is interesting, and it forces me to do things. It forces me to obey the rules of fighting a little bit more. But the punch shield lets me like play around with that a little bit more. It lets me throw some more creative shots. Yeah, see, he got there before me, and I hit him in the arm. I hit him in the arm there. I stopped fighting. I should have kept hitting him. That's on me. We're playing leg on death, by the way. Yeah, see, I got him trapped there on the outside and got a good return on him. Ooh. So that's one of my favorite setups right now is as a lefty is pump faking the outside. And as their hand comes out, you blade beat their sword out, so they overcompensate with their shield. They go, oh, I have to cover that, and then you throw a high cross. There's another thing of me falling down. That's the exact same thing. I try to go for this really low, like, squat hip wrap. I'm still working on that one. That's a situation of getting him to overcompensate to the outside and then me winning the inside game. It's one of the mini games that people don't really understand. Oh, let's go ahead and go back to that. Uh, because I'm a child and love seeing it. Okay, so this is the lefty dark side. This is originally started by a warlord in the EH named Curb, and he doesn't play Amp Guard anymore. But this really high standing dark side is kind of made by him. Glenn has a similar one to this, but he brings his torso forward to really tell you to feint that he's swinging for your hip, and kind of coming forward lets him open up his arms a little bit more so that he can really get the angle that he needs. So the lefty dark side, and the reason that this works is that you basically, if you look at our feet, you see that his feet are kind of crossing mine, and his shield is forward. And because his shield foot is forward and he's crossing my foot, he is looking to block his hip from my whatever he thinks I'm going to throw a hip wrap. He's looking to block it, and he wants this good angle to be able to block it. So what I can do is I can pump fake towards the side he's already expecting me to feint at, which opens up his shield. And because his shield is blocking his sword side, it's not blocking his shield side. Let's go ahead and turn this down to slow-mo. All right, let's play it. See how the shield just came immediately over? And because he threw a shot, and he was returning back to guard, he is now responsible to block. He didn't have to, but that's one of the common behaviors that people have is that, they throw a shot up, they're in defensive stance now, they're looking to block. And when they do that, that's a really good time to throw a feint. That's not a super common feint. It's not like an entrance feint. It's called like a mid-fight feint or something like that. I call it an exchange feint. But let's go and look at that again. Because it's funny. And one thing I want to notice here is that when he throws his shot, I land when he goes to throw his shot, I land with my sword foot forward, and this gives me the range I need to be able to throw this dark side. And that way, I don't have to move my feet, and I don't have to do anything else to throw this feint back to him. The feint is more powerful because my sword foot is forward, and whatever I'm going to throw, he has to answer to it immediately. Because we're walking, boop. I kind of stutter there for a second and slow it down so that he thinks I'm going to throw hip wrap. That was my favorite shot of the entire video, by the way. And this is like kind of this is kind of like the upper game of like high-end fighting is like having fun with each other and then seeing who can win in the most fantastical kind of way. It's not always about like I'm gonna beat this guy. It's just about having fun really at the end of the day. Yeah, he got me in the shoulder. I tried to go for that squat wrap again, and it didn't work. God, I gotta keep playtesting that. Kind of keep in range with him here. He has that powerful close game. Tried to do that squat. That squat wrap again was so bad. I need to set that up better. It's kind of another thing. Manipulation of. So a lot of times I talk about the difference between micro strategies and macro strategies, and micro versus macro is like Micro is going to be where your hand positioning are, your mechanics, footwork, um, looking at looking at exploiting your opponent's mechanics and stuff like that. They're the little things that like people don't always pay attention to, like the difference of hand height, right? If my hand's over your hand, then I have an advantage in a particular exchange, or I have an advantage in manipulating their weapon. Whereas a macro thing is going to be like positioning, timing, what your opponent is actually doing on a fundamental level of like, are they blocking more? Do they want you to block? Do they want to block? Do they want to counter? Stuff like that. In this case, this is a slight manipulation of some macro with our positioning, but mostly a micro thing of when Diego comes in here, his hand's going to be low. My hand's higher than his hand, and I am able to manipulate his sword out of the way and throw this shot. See his hand's low? And I can get to the shot before he can because his hand's low. And I know, we're going to go back, once his sword opens up like this, like you can see his hand kind of open, that means he is open and vulnerable to attack. And I know that I can get there and my hand's going to be able to block the outside shot where it comes from. So even if he throws an outside shot, if I have center line dominance, I can block that outside shot. And I throw that second shot just in case, because he could get his board over there, because he was board foot forward. He could get that board over there, and I just wanted to make sure I got that high cross just in case. My freaking sword got stuck. Nice. Good shoulder shot. Diego was the more conservative person there, and he really made me work. He's really good at making you work around his guard, and when you're trying to expend resources like that, it's more than likely you'll start losing. So I leaned so much for that wrap, he hit me in the back of the tricep. It's one of the funnier parts of the fight. Like normally that'd be a shoulder shot, but I was like leaning all the way to the side and it just hit me in the back of the arm. It's funny. One thing I'm also starting to work on here is keeping my working on the mechanics of keeping my sword forward when I'm attacking. So instead of attacking and going like that, I'm working on coming straight. I have a lesson on that later today that I'm probably going to film. Maybe, yeah, probably later today. Yeah, that's just me trying to bait him out because I'm working on these fundamental things of like get him to throw outside, throw clean to the inside, and Diego's probably one of the best people to work on this with because he's so good in his exchanging that if your mechanics aren't clean, he's gonna kill you. Um, probably he's probably one of the best in the game at it. Probably. Again, we're playing like on death. Yeah, he won the outside arm battle. I threw to the outside, and he was able to throw the quick return in. This is kind of another macro lesson here, is that like a simple macro strategy is get your opponent to throw to the outside. If you can get them in, it's positioning really. If you can get them in a losing position, you're more likely to win the fight, right? So he and I have this thing where basically we're fighting to see who's the first person to commit to the outside. If they commit too much, then their center line's exploited again. It's just simple stuff like this, like these broad conceptualized strategies. They're really good at getting consistent wins. And if that's something you're looking like, if you're trying to climb the skill ladder, it's things. Those are the types of things you should be looking at, um, especially when you're trying to win tournaments. See, we have a fun exchange here. I don't even know who won. But the whole time we're trying to keep these goals in focus of just the things we're working on and having fun with each other. Ah, I got him with the high cross. I thought I was gonna get him with the squat wrap. Squat wrap's getting a little bit better as the video goes on. Diego's playing on the center line with me here. There's always this constant effort of I'm gonna pause it here because it's important. There's always this constant effort when you're having these long series fights of like you start to get a little bit tired and then you lose your focus. And there's always this thing of trying to refocus yourself and make sure that you stay on your goal of whatever it is. That's just kind of really important for everything. If you're trying to get into doing tournaments and trying to win them, there's always points in tournaments where you're like you think to yourself, "Oh, I'm tired," and then you need to breathe, refocus yourself, and get back to it. That way, you're getting quality reps and you're getting the results that you want. I tried to do a 5-1-2, didn't work. It's always fun to like just throw some stuff at the board and see what sticks. I wanted to see if the 5-1-2 worked. I got the inside arm when he threw outside. Also helps to note, Diego's ex-squire and warlord Marshall is a lefty, so he's pretty proficient at fighting them. Then we got one or two more fights. So this is another setup I like for the high cross. And it's giving him two stimuli. Let me see if I can slow it down. 50%. Oops. So he's board foot forward again. And I'm going to actually do a setup for my outside wrap. Is one of the first things I do is I blade beat their sword to the inside. And normally that tells you that I'm going to throw to the outside, right? Like I'm going to move their stick out of the way so I can throw outside arm. And I swing partially and touch his sword to make him think that I'm doing that. And that is what really convinces him to bring that shield over and opens up that cross shot. This is basically a double feint, but these are the kind of things you need to look at about how to open up that cross-eyed shoulder. It's not just throwing one feint sometimes, it's sometimes throwing two feints. And that's how you can kind of layer your attacks and make them different. Like maybe you only know how to do a high cross, well you can layer other things on top of that to really open up that attack without doing something crazy different. Let's look at it again. Also, I come up with a lunge, which helps really sell it, is because if I blade beat his sword out and I lunge, that's really shown that I'm committed to throwing the outside wrap that he's expecting. But it doesn't leave me at... So, actually, I want to talk about something really important, too. So, I lunge while I step, but the important thing is that I do not put my foot on the outside of his foot. See, I lunged. Our feet are parallel still. If my foot was the outside, I would have hit him in the face. But if my feet are parallel or my foot is slightly to the inside of a shield, that opens up that cross-eyed shoulder a lot more too. See? Let's go back, bring it all together. I'm going to step, double fake that lunge, boom. And I'm even lunging with my body too. I'm like really bringing my shoulders high. Another kind of micro thing is that when I'm feinting this lunge, my torso isn't coming to the left or right either. I'm just bringing it forward. That way, when I throw my high cross, I'm not having to overcompensate back to the other side. I can go forward and then just straight to the line. And I even kind of bring my leg up there to help me balance backwards so I don't get messed up. But those are kind of things you want to look at, like how to make your shots really efficient and how to make them more timely and faster. Is that you don't want to have to overcompensate in directions when you're trying to throw these fakes. Is that I want all my energy basically to go to the same direction, but I want to try to convince my opponent that I'm going the other way. And if you're using a lot of torso movement or doing whatever, that's going to slow your shot down to make your feint and your attack less effective as a result. Oh shit, this is still in slow-mo. Sorry. Back to normal. Okay. Oops. Ah, disarmed. See? And that's the end of the video. I'm going to hit cancel on that. I don't know what this shit is. Anyway, so yeah, that's a video of me and Diego, and that's some upper level fighting for you guys. And just thought it was a fun reminder that you guys don't always have to go 100% and try to kill each other. You should be having fun with this. You should be loving it. You know, if you don't love it, you're not gonna stay with it for a long time. And really, at the high end, you might be one of those guys who's trying to grind right now, and you're like, "This sucks balls, man." And I know it's emotionally tough sometimes, but you know, when you start you start encountering other fighters who are really good at fighting. There are other people who love this game and love doing boffer sports, and you interact with those people. Like, have some fun fights with those people. Like, I really enjoyed fighting much more now than I did when I was trying to climb, just because I know people. These guys are my colleagues. Like, these are people that I deeply respect, and we know that when we fight each other, we're not trying to, have a dick measuring contest. Like, and we're not trying to have an ego contest and who's better or whatever. I mean, we kind of are a little bit, but there's mutual respect there, and there's there's an ease of I'm gonna fight this guy. He's not gonna go talk trash on me on the internet. When people are as good as you and you're fighting people as good as you, it's just kind of more fun, honestly. And Diego's one of those guys I always love fighting. We always have really fun, quality fights, and yeah. So anyway, guys, I'll check you later. See ya.